live and local sports talk.
And that is the whole problem with aliens. You just can't trust them. Occasionally you meet a nice one, but usually they turn out to be some kind of big lizard.
The Skraby Show starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
Hello and welcome into the Skraby Show for August 8th, 2024. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for sticking with us here on 97.3 The Fan. We'll get to the Padres. We'll talk all about the Padres sweeping the Pirates. We'll talk about the Olympics a little bit. We'll talk about Luis Arraez and some of the commentary on Luis Arraez around Padres, Twitter, not the Padres Twitter, but just people talking about Padres on Twitter. And we'll also talk about my trip to Iowa. I have two daily gripes, actually. One of them happened on the trip. One of them happened in the last couple days. So I'll get to that. But I have a story that just proves to me how small of a world we live in at times, because this story blew my mind, and I'm pretty sure these people are still talking about this to this day, because it might have been the best thing that's happened to them in the last year or so. But I'll tell you that at the end of this show. So thanks again to everybody for joining. I am on YouTube. If you want to go watch, go to YouTube, search 97.3 The Fan. You can also go to Twitch, 97.3 The Fan. You can go to my Twitter, at Matt Skraby, MATTSKRA, B as in boy, Y. And we're also on Facebook as well. So let's do the roll call real quick before we get into it. We have Katrina, who says, don't forget to hit the like button while we wait. Yes, thank you so much. If you're on the YouTube page, please hit the like button. That'll help us to help the Skrabinators get their names out there. Also, let's see. We have Rod, of course. We have M. McKee, of course. We have Welsh Fryer, of course. Welsh Fryer said he set his 2 a.m. alarm for this one. That is incredible, Welsh Fryer. I can't wait to see you when you are here in San Diego. And M. McKee says, I'm in awe of you, Welsh Fryer. I am too. This honestly is such a crazy thing to know that Welsh Fryer is waking up at 2 a.m. to listen to Gwen and Chris and the Skraby Show and 97.3 The Fan in general. So we are very lucky to have Welsh Fryer here. Joseph is here. Prolific is here. Maria is here. Let's see. Angela is here. Dwayne is here. Trevor's here. Jay is here. Jacob's here. Castro made it as well. Angela says, hi, Skraby. Pods are hot. Let's keep it going. I agree. Let's keep it going for sure. This has been a really fun last couple weeks ever since the All-Star break. I think going into the All-Star break, everybody thought, eek, this team, we don't really know what we're going to get in the second half. Is this a playoff team? Is this a team that's going to actually make the playoffs? And when I say, is this a playoff team, is this a team that has the makeup that can win in the playoffs? And we didn't know that before the All-Star break. But whatever happened during the All-Star break brought this team together, and they are on fire. They have been the best team since the All-Star break. Actually, when I was in Chicago listening to 670 The Score, sister station, they did mention the Padres on their station as one of the hottest teams in baseball and one of the most dangerous teams in baseball. And so that was kind of fun to hear a different city, a big city, talking about the Padres in a way that no one really talks about the Padres. And so I really think that this year is a year that has destiny. I'm not saying that they're the team of destiny, but I'm saying that there is some sort of destiny for the Padres to go deep in the playoffs this year. I mean, everything that went wrong last year has gone right this year, and you have this team playing as a team right now, and it's one of those things we always knew that they were capable of, but it just didn't come together. And now it's coming together. You got Xander Bogaerts hitting. You have Manny Machado hitting. You have Jurickson Profar being Jurickson Profar. You have Jackson Merrill doing his thing. You still don't even have Fernando Tatis Jr. in right field. Bryce Johnson did miss that ball yesterday, but he's been pretty good in right field for the most part. Dropped down a bunt, a really important bunt as well in that game. So there's no shortage of players that are stepping up for this team right now. And if you look at Donovan Solano, 4 hits on Tuesday night, that's not easy. And I think Tony and Chris have talked about it while I was gone. It's not easy for Donovan Solano to sit on the bench for 7 straight days and then come out and when they were here in San Diego, he got a walk-off hit last week. I think it was last week. I'm all all confused with my travel time, but he had a walk-off hit coming off the bench cold. And those are the players that you just can't really predict are going to be there for you down the stretch. But Donovan Solano had a track record of this, and I did say I didn't think Donovan Solano was going to change the fortunes of this team. And so, once again, I was wrong about that because Donovan Solano has been incredible for this team. David Peralta, even though he's not been Donovan Solano, David Peralta has also been incredible for this team at times. Today he hits a home run. I mean, there are things that the Padres have this year that just tell me that they're going to continue these winning ways into the postseason. And I know I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. I know that, but I don't see how you can look at this team and you can see what they've been doing and say, I don't believe that they're going to make the playoffs or they're going to win some playoff games. This team is dangerous. Pitching is dangerous. And when A.J. Preller decided to pivot a little bit and not go after a starting pitcher and instead go at the trade deadline, go after relief pitching and getting the best relief pitching out there, that he made it was a gamble, but he made a really good choice because now at the end of games, you have to go through Robert Suarez. You might have to go through Tanner Scott. And I know he's had trouble controlling the ball here recently, but he'll be fine. And you have guys like Jason Adam, Brian Hoeing. I got to figure out how to pronounce his name. I'm sorry, Brian. But he came up big on Tuesday night after Dylan Cease had to leave after the rain delay. So all of these guys are stepping up right now, and the Padres look strong. They're 2.5 games behind the Dodgers right now. 2.5 games behind the Dodgers. I said earlier this year, I really did, and I might have to go back and look for it for proof. But I said that the division could be here because it could be within reach of the Padres if they get on a hot streak, just because the Dodgers haven't been playing as well as we are used to them playing, and they've also been injured, and so the Padres have taken advantage of that. While the Dodgers have had their guys out with injury, the Padres have been winning, and the Dodgers, are slowly coming back to earth, and all the teams in the National League are slowly coming back to earth. The Phillies have been not very good here in a recent stretch. So the Padres are right there. And if this team is the one we see for the rest of the year, this is going to be extremely fun down the stretch because they are a team that you cannot give up on, and they don't give up because a couple times earlier this year when they would go down in a game, I may have turned it off or whatever and gone and done something else. But when they lost the lead today after Joey Bart hits that home run off of Matsui late in the game and it goes the Pirates went up 5-4, I really thought, okay, this team is going to at least make a run at coming back. And yes, as Chris said earlier, they did get a little lucky with the O'Neill Cruz error when he threw the ball away, but luck is all a part of it. And when you are getting those lucky breaks, it makes you feel like you're some sort of team of destiny. And these are wins that they need because the Diamondbacks are right there and the Giants are right there. And the Dodgers are obviously leading the division. So the National League West is shaping up to be the division that we thought it was going to be, and the Padres are in a good place. And they still do, I think I already mentioned this, they still don't have Fernando Tatis Jr., and I hope that he comes back soon. I know Joe Musgrove is coming back soon. But, man, it has been something that we've been waiting for all season long. All season long. And I guess most of the baseball pundits are starting to really take note now of the Padres and what they're doing and what the Padres starting pitching has been doing. I mean, Michael King had a pretty good start yesterday. If Bryce Johnson doesn't dive at that ball, and if he just lets it fall in front of him, they probably don't score a run. We'll never know. But that inning went from a really, really quick inning for Michael King, and it turned into, I think, like a 25, 30-pitch inning for Michael King. But then they rebounded. Michael King rebounded. And you got to love what you're seeing out of Michael King. And it's nice that he got that little bit of a break with taking that ball off of his leg where he had to miss one start because we all know about the pitch limitations with Michael King. But it doesn't seem like he's even close to be shutting it down. Not that he would, but it doesn't seem like that's an issue at all. And those are things that we may have worried about in spring training. Like, hey, how long can Michael King be a starter? Can he be a starter? Is he starter material? The answer is yes to all of those, because he has shown this year that he was everything that the Padres wanted when they traded Juan Soto. Why he was one of the guys that was a sticking point for the Padres. Drew Thorpe was too, and then Drew Thorpe turns into Dylan Cease. So AJ Preller, as much as people don't want me to say it, AJ Preller, I think so far this year has done his best job of putting a team on the field that can win and win consistently, and that's what they're doing right now. It's really fun to see, and it's been really fun to see this team come together and go on this hot streak, because you really feel like anything can happen with the Padres this year, and I definitely do. Jaybird602 says, this just proves what a team without a massive ego is capable of. I agree with you 100%. It's a team effort, and if we're going to be talking about team effort, you see Manny Machado last night. He's too quiet. He says, he doesn't say enough. But Manny Machado, what we've learned and what we know, Manny Machado, all his career with the Padres has been a lead. He leads by example. And last night, him hustling in the fifth to go up 5-4, he stole the base first, and then Jackson Merrill hit one to right field. Manny Machado just cranking around the bases, gets home, scores the run. They go up 5-4. We ask how he leads. That is how Manny Machado leads, is by doing things on the field that help his team. And he doesn't want the accolades. He's not a guy who's going to be standing there waiting for someone to pat him on the back. He leads by example. And sometimes, when they're losing, it might not be the leader that a team needs. But when things are going well for the Padres and Manny is going well, the team goes where Manny goes, as we've said many, many, many times on this show. Joseph says, is it weird that I will feel more confident in us winning the World Series if we are in the wild card over winning the division? I think that's a strange question, but it's not that strange, because the last couple of years we've seen the two teams that have had the first round bye be eliminated in the first round. So it's not the craziest thing to say. I don't think there's anything to that. I don't think because they had some days off, they're not as good. I think some of these teams, like the Braves last year, had an incredible season. They just tired themselves out. And they tired themselves out by having Ronald Acuna Jr. doing everything that he did last year. I don't think that they lost the first series because they had a couple days off. I think they lost the first series because they were taxed from the season. And the Padres, I don't think are going to be I don't think the Padres are going to be taxed at the end of the year. They're looking good. They're looking strong right now. Rod says, feels great to be a Padre fan in 2024. It's our turn in San Diego. That is very true. I hope for San Diegans to get this. Get a good run through the playoffs, maybe an NLCS, maybe a World Series. I'm not going to go too far. But seriously, I am thinking this team has some serious staying power. EC Money also wants to say another home run for Kyle Higashioka. Kyle Higashioka has been a steal. Kyle Higashioka has been someone that the Padres never saw coming. None of us saw this power coming. His career high for home runs was 10 before this year. Now he's got more than 10, I think 15 or 16. Kyle Higashioka is a great guy to have on this team. He's just he's a catcher who just goes about his business and does his thing and is just enjoying the success. And you have to appreciate that with Kyle Higashioka. Also, I'm enjoying the ride with Schilt at the helm. Yeah, I mean, we talked about it earlier this year. I don't know that a lot of us were enjoying the ride earlier this year, but right now, Schilt is pressing a lot of the right buttons, and now that I know that there's certain decisions that we could kind of pick apart, but at the same time, those are all Monday morning quarterback thoughts, and Mike Schilt knows what he's doing, and I trust Mike Schilt, so I'm not going to be overly critical, but there are some times where Chris, mentioned earlier today where he should have gone to the bullpen for Jason Adam instead of Yuki Matsui with two righties coming up, and he didn't, and it burned him because Joey Bart hit that home run that put the Pirates ahead, but hey, it doesn't matter in the end because the Padres won the game, and Mike Schilt might just be what the Padres have been looking for in the clubhouse for the past few years. I don't know what it is. I think it's maybe it's the extreme positivity from Mike Schilt. I think people respond to their superiors, their bosses, telling them, being supportive of them. I know that when Adam is supportive of me, I feel a lot better doing this show and doing Gwen and Chris. And not saying that Bob Melvin wasn't that guy or Jace Tingler wasn't that guy, but for whatever reason, Mike Schilt is pressing the right buttons on this team. And I really, really think that going into this year, this was going to be the most, we said it, this was going to be the most important year of Padres baseball. And right now we're looking good. And I'm saying right now because it can change. But I don't believe it's going to change with this team. They are absolutely on fire right now. The reason I stopped there is because D1115 said Manny cranked it around the base pass. Yes, Manny cranked it around the base pass. I don't know if anybody else saw it, but he was huffing and puffing all the way home. For all those people who complain about him running to first base or slowly running to first base, when it counts, Manny's a gamer. He's going to give 110% when it counts. And I don't mind him slowly running to first when it's an easy grounder to second. It doesn't matter that much. Joshua says on X, this team feels like a team and that they're there for one another. I agree with that. You have Jackson Merrill saying what he said with Gwen and Chris on Friday for Friar Friday. Let me play you that real quick. Jackson Merrill was asked about being in the conversation for Rookie of the Year, and this is what he told Chris and Tony.
No, dude, it's World Series or nothing to me. I don't really have any other goals in this game besides winning. So, obviously an award is cool, but it's really nothing compared to winning a World Series. I'd love to do both. That'd be awesome. But
yeah, both would be awesome. But you could just see, he's a 21-year-old who is playing the best on the biggest baseball stage of his life, and really all he cares about is winning. And I believe him. It's not just what you say to the media. I fully believe it. He's never seemed like a guy to me who is too full of himself. He's never seemed like a guy to me who's one of those up-and-coming stars who kind of, distances themselves from everyone. They kind of do their own thing. He's all a part of it. I think I even read about Jackson Merrill saying that he loves this team so much that he tries to get to the field as early as possible so they can hang out with the team. And that's what is a huge difference this year. This team makeup, the amount of camaraderie that is there right now. And in the past few years, I can't say that it wasn't there, but it didn't feel as strong. This clubhouse feels strong, and it feels like everybody's got each other's back. And I think that we're in a really good spot as Padres fans, obviously. So there's my impromptu opening to the Skraby show about the Padres and what they did with the Pirates. I mean, sweeping the Pirates, and they have the Pirates next week. These are games. I mean, we talked about the Padres not being able to sweep any teams for a good portion of the first part of the season until they swept the A's. Now we're in no shortage of sweeps, and it's a good thing to see. So we will keep going with the Padres conversation. I want to talk about Jackson Merrill and Rookie of the Year. I know I've been kind of beating the drum here on X and on 97.3 that he absolutely is the Rookie of the Year, and I'm not just playing favorites, and I'll tell you all about that. Also, my thoughts on Luis Arraez and some of the comments I've seen from Padres fans and what the future of Luis Arraez is with the Padres. So that's up next. I'm Matt Skraby. This is the Skraby Show on 97.3 The Fan.
It is
back here in the Odyssey Palace 97.3 The Fan, the Skraby Show. I'm Matt Skraby. You can follow me on social media at Matt Skraby, MattsKraby as in boy, Y. I'm also streaming the show on my Twitter. You can go to YouTube as well and search 97.3 The Fan to find the show. Also, the Odyssey app, if you want to listen to the show, you can do that as well. There's a bunch of podcasts up there. You can listen to what Chris and I did a little bit earlier on Gwen and Chris. Hey, you could even go back and listen to 12 games in October. Now that the Padres are playing well and we're looking like we're going to the playoffs, go back and relive 2022 because it was awesome. And I did a 12-episode podcast, one for every game that they played in the playoffs. Yes, it was a lot. And yes, I learned a lot. And I appreciate everyone out there who has given me or said nice things about the podcast because it was a passion project. And I do have something in the works for the future. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to go, so I'm not going to say anything yet, but I do have another podcast idea, a Padres podcast idea in the future. I've been talking to Adam about it, so we're kind of planning a little bit. I wanted to read this tweet that I got in the break from Mike Check 17. He says, he or she, I think the most interesting thing is that the team was on the biggest tear in 2022 and 2024 was a team without Fernando Tatis Jr. Curious to see what happened when he comes back. I feel like his presence brings a different vibe. I don't necessarily think his presence brings a different vibe. I mean, I can't stay away from the fact that, yes, he wasn't on the team in 2022 and they went far, and he's not playing most of this year and they're starting to win. But when you have a player like Fernando, you want him back in the lineup as soon as possible. I think these guys love playing with Fernando. We saw what he could do before he got injured because he was starting to hit. He was starting to hit for power, and we were seeing that Fernando again. And it's just unfortunate that he did get injured because I feel like he would have continued on that pace. But he's been out for a while, and I think when he comes back, that is a major boost to this team. It is like getting a superstar player out of thin air. And if Fernando can be any sort of, if he could resemble any sort of what he did before he got injured, this team is even more dangerous. I don't really think that Fernando is the issue here. You see him in the dugout. You see him with all the guys. Everybody seems to be having fun. He's the guy who's either taking pictures after a home run. He's there. He seems engaged, and he seems to be staying out of the spotlight and letting the team do its thing. So I think that Fernando is doing things right. It's, again, it is factual. He was not there in 2022 when they went to the NLCS, and he's not here now while they're going on this winning streak. But I can't think that putting Fernando back in the lineup is going to be a problem for the Padres. It just can't be a problem, right? I mean, it can't be. We got people here saying trade Tatis, Solano over Toddy. I don't really I can't put Solano over Toddy. Solano is a good player. He's not the best defensive player. I mean, we have a platinum glover in Fernando last year in right field. So I think Fernando's defense is a huge boost too to right field with, Bryce Johnson out there. He's not Fernando Tatis Jr. He's doing a nice job, but he's not Fernando Tatis Jr. Oh, Jack said it was a joke. I figured it was a joke. Hey, Dominic, thank you for joining the show. Again, if you want to watch, go to YouTube, search 97.3 The Fan. All right, let's talk about Luis Arraez real quick, because Luis Arraez has been everything that he was advertised for this team. He hits, he's a team player, he's playing pretty good defense for the most part. I know that there's certain times that he's not playing the best defense, but the things that I've been seeing online is that some don't think that he is worth the money that he's going to command for next season. And I know we're already looking forward to next season, but when I look at Luis Arraez, I look at a guy who is extremely important to this team. This team is not a power team. This team is built around timely hitting and moving the runners when you can. And this team is playing fundamental baseball. And that's what Luis Arraez is best at, is playing fundamental baseball. He's not going to hit a bunch of home runs, but he is going to get on base a ton, and he is going to hit some doubles. and he is going to score a lot of runs if you could drive him in, but all you need from him is just to get on base. It doesn't matter in what form it comes, because you got to get a guy like him on base, and then you can follow it up with Jurickson Profar or Manny Machado or Xander Bogaerts, whoever's behind him on that current day. But Luis Arraez might make $15 million next year, might make, I don't know how much he's going to make, but it's going to be more than I think people are expecting, because when you look at his numbers, he doesn't have the power numbers. He has the average. Also, he's been playing injured this year. I see Luis Arraez as a Padre. I think he loves playing here in San Diego. I think he wants to be here in San Diego. I think the team loves him. I think that that Mike Schilt loves what Luis Arraez brings to this team. And the Padres have reset their luxury tax, so they're not going to be paying any penalties if they were to go over the tax again, which I don't know that they will. I'm not sure what they're going to do this offseason, but it's not as tight money-wise, in my mind, as it was last year when they were trying to cut $100 million in payroll and try to get that out of there so that they can get under the threshold. Luis Arraez is worth the $15 million that he may command. I don't know why some people are thinking that he's bad for this team. I don't think that he is bad for this team. I mean, how many times did we, when we didn't have a leadoff hitter, how many times did we complain about the leadoff hitter not getting on base? Well, now Luis Arraez is getting on base all the time. It just seems sometimes like people just want to complain, and that's fine, because I do like to complain as well. But it's the Random Ham has it right. He says it's only because people are now trying to devalue batting average. Batting average means a lot. You don't need to hit a ton of home runs. And Luis Arraez is happy being a guy who hits single-digit home runs in a season, but hits 340. That's what he wants to do. He knows that he is his best when he is putting the ball in play and when he is getting on base. Not hitting home runs, not swinging for the fences. He's the best when he's getting on base. Diesel says, thought we had another year of control for Arraez. There is another year of control. Let me just make sure of that. But I believe it's arbitration, so his arbitration number is going to be higher because he's won 2 batting titles. But let me just make sure before we move on from Luis Arraez to make sure I'm telling everybody the right thing. Luis Arraez, though, ever since he's come over here, he's just given his all, and he's been pretty good for the Padres. This year he's making... the Marlins are paying a lot of his salary of $10 million. This is why it's such a steal for the Padres this year. He's making $592,000 from the Padres. But he has his last year of arbitration next year, and then he's got 2026. He's an unrestricted free agent. He's only 27 this year, too. I forget that all the time. He's 27. 27. That's young. That's very young, and he's doing big things already in his baseball career. So I don't understand the people that are calling for Luis Arraez to be moved in the offseason. I would like Luis Arraez to be leading off this team come spring training next year. That's what I want to see. Tyler says, we do have one more year, but we'd have to pay his salary. Marlon's only paying for his salary this year. Yes, correct, but I'm okay with paying him a little bit. Josh on X, fingers crossed for team-friendly deals on Profar and Luis. They like the vibes and the team. Profar is going to be a very interesting one here in the offseason because obviously he's getting paid way too little. Like, he's only making $1 million. And what Profar has done this year has been a revelation in his career. He's never had a year like this. Obviously, I want Profar back on this team for next season. But what is it going to cost the Padres? At a certain point, it is a business, and you can't be paying someone for good vibes that happened last year. You have to be paying someone for what you think they're going to do in the year ahead. And he deserves more money. But I'm not really sure what the Padres are going to give him. I really don't know. I don't know that they're going to give him like a hometown deal where they're going to give him a lot of money. But is Profar even into money? It doesn't really seem like he really cares about a ton of money. He's making $1 million this year. He's playing. He's an all-star. He is the leader of this team. It's something that the Padres are going to put their best foot forward in trying to bring him back to this team. I don't see him playing anywhere else. I really don't. Even if he gets paid a lot of money somewhere else. I see Profar as a guy who wants to play winning baseball and winning baseball for a team that he loves to play on, and that's the Padres. He's already said he loves San Diego. It's like his second home. Pedro says, defer the payment. The deferral of the payments doesn't always work because players might not want it. I don't think Blake Snell really wanted the deferral of the payments. So that's something that he has to decide. Maybe he does want it, and maybe the Padres want to do it, but we'll have to see this offseason because we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. McKee says, don't envy those that have to make the tough decisions this offseason. No, I don't envy anyone either, and that's why AJ Preller is much smarter than I am when it comes to all this, because I would just stress and stress and stress over it. But right now, AJ Preller's team's looking pretty darn good. I didn't get to my Jackson Merrill talk. We will get to Jackson Merrill briefly because I have been singing his praises for a while now, and I think that he needs some sort of national recognition. And he is starting to get national recognition, but then you got Jackson Holiday, who has like 3 good games. Yeah, there were good games. But then you have Jackson Holiday, and it's like the biggest thing in the world that Jackson Holiday has hit a home run. And it's unfortunate for baseball fans because they're missing out on a good player, Jackson Merrill. So we'll talk about that. Also talk about my trip. We'll get to my daily gripe and that weird, it's too small of a world story when we get back on the Skraby Show on 97.3 The Fan. Back here on 97.3 The Fan, The Skraby Show. I'm Matt Skraby. Thanks for joining me here tonight. We have one more show tomorrow, and it will be Friar Friday before the Marlins and the Padres play. I believe at 4:10 p.m. is when the first pitch is, 3:10 for Sammy Lev's pregame show. Now, I got a lot to fit in here in this segment. Rod was asking about Skrabinator Game 2. Skrabinator Game 2 has been announced, so if you are looking to try to win a spot in the Odyssey Suite on August 21st, which is a Wednesday, against the Twins, I believe it's a 3:10 or a 3:40 game. I think it's 3:40. Then you just need to go to 973thefansd.com, go to the contest page, and click on Skrabinator Game 2, and you will be able to find the form to sign up there. I'm going to be drawing the winners next week. So I'm going to give people a little bit of time, a little bit of notifications so that they can figure out how they can get to the game if they need to get babysitters or, ask off work or whatever. But I will be emailing everyone next week with the information of who has won. Now, let's get back to Jackson Merrill real quick. And I know I've even been called downright annoying on social media about Jackson Merrill, and I don't really care because coming into spring training, I was a huge fan of Jackson Merrill. And I'm even a bigger fan of Jackson Merrill just by everything that I've seen from him this year and all of the good things that he's done. And when I am thinking that he should win Rookie of the Year, it's not a selfish thing. It's not like, oh, it needs to be a Padre. I truly 100% believe that Jackson Merrill is the Rookie of the Year. And it's for the reasons that we said earlier. It's for the reasons I said to start the show. But Sarah Langs had a tweet last night saying that Jackson Merrill is the first player with multiple multi-homer games that also included a game-tying or go-ahead home run in the 9th or later at age 21 or younger. Now, that's a very specific stat, but think about that. The first player in the history of baseball that's had multiple multi-homer games that included a game-tying or go-ahead home run in the 9th or later. That's incredible. Now, Jackson Merrill hasn't only been, tearing the cover off the ball recently. He's been doing this all season long, and he's been doing it with more power than I think people thought he had. He's been doing it with more clutch hits than I thought people thought he had. And going forward, Jackson Merrill has proven to me that on certain nights when they need someone to step up and someone, and they're not having a guy step up, Jackson Merrill is a guy who can take the reins and be the hero of the game. He can be the guy, and he keeps getting better. So I'm really excited to see what happens over the years for Jackson Merrill. But this year, if he wins Rookie of the Year, that would be incredible, and he deserves it. If he doesn't win Rookie of the Year, it's going to bother all of us, but will it bother him? Probably not. It will maybe light a fire under him. But the reason that Jackson Merrill is so important to this team is because of the things that he's been doing late in games. And he doesn't seem fazed by an at-bat in the 9th inning when the Padres absolutely have to either have a runner on base or a home run. Last night against David Bednar, going deep for the second time in the game. Those are things that regular major league players don't do often, and he's done it multiple times this year. He's a leader of this team, whether they actually call him a leader or not, or whether he calls himself a leader. He is one of the guys on this team that has put them in a position to be where they're at right now. 12 games over 500, getting out of a sweep, or getting off of just sweeping the Padres, he's on the Padres, the Pirates, same name with a P. But they just swept the Pirates, and they've been playing great baseball since the All-Star break, and he continues to play great center field, and he continues to come up with clutch hits, and he continues to do things that rookies just don't do. And he hasn't slumped this year that much. I mean, he's almost he's hitting in the 280s, which right now in Major League Baseball, I don't know if you know, but hitting in the 280s is a rare thing, and especially for someone who's a rookie, to be hitting 280 is a rare thing, and who knows where he goes. He might even be able to hit 300 by the end of the season. Jackson Merrill also plays every single day. Now, this isn't a Paul Skeens hate segment because I do think that Paul Skeens is a good pitcher. Obviously, you see what he can do. But Jackson Merrill can change the game in so many different ways, and Paul Skeens just can't. And I know that voters might not see it that way. I know that voters might see it as Paul Skeens is dominating as a pitcher, in his first year after being drafted. But Jackson Merrill is doing it in more ways than just striking out batters. He's doing it with his defense. He's doing it with his base running. He's doing it with his power. He's doing it with everything. And that's why I think he's Rookie of the Year. Now, should they, I kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier, but should they have a Rookie of the Year award and a Rookie Cy Young award? Maybe, because it's such a different position. Like Paul Skeens every 5 days, that's what his position is asked, or what they ask of him. He goes out there and he does what he can do every 5 days. And for a pitcher, he's incredible. And he is the best rookie pitcher over Shota Imanaga. But he can't go up there and hit a game-tying home run in the 9th inning. He can't play every single inning of every single game that the Pirates play. I think that's a huge reason as to why Jackson Merrill has a hand up on Paul Skeens for Rookie of the Year. I know that Mason Wynn people are out there, but if you look at it, Paul Skeens and his team, they're not playing well right now. And it's not just because the Padres swept them. They weren't playing well coming into the series. But you look at what the Padres are doing, and Jackson Merrill is right in the middle of it all. I mean, he went 4 for 6 last night. How many times this year has he had multi-hit games? I would need to go look that up. I just think Skeens is, and he didn't. Here's another thing: Skeens didn't even start playing because the Pirates didn't call him up until like mid-May. Jackson Merrill has been there since day one, and he's been making a difference since day one. Longevity means something to me, especially in baseball. If you are able to be consistent over an entire baseball season and do things that Jackson Merrill has done during the baseball season, I don't know why he's not being mentioned as more of a contestant, for lack of a better word, in this Rookie of the Year. And I'm going to continue to push for Jackson Merrill. As long as he's playing the way he's playing, and I think that he deserves to win the Rookie of the Year award, I'm going to keep pushing. Even though people are getting in my DMs, the Skeens people are just all mad about it. But I keep them in my, don't know these people DMs, so I don't actually look at them every day. I just go check it every once in a while, see what's going on in there, and it's kind of funny sometimes because people are so angry that I'm bad-mouthing Paul Skeens. Anyway. Tap says, Skraby, you should reach out to a Pittsburgh sports radio show and do some friendly side bet. If they don't take the bet, then we know Skeens is on a pitch limit. Just saying. Haha, that would be kind of funny. I can tell you right now, though, the Pittsburgh station, I followed one of their hosts on X, and he is all about Paul Skeens. It's Paul Skeens or bust. No way in heck is anyone other than Paul Skeens going to win this award. So they're doing exactly what he's doing in Pittsburgh, what I'm doing here in San Diego. But I truly, if Paul Skeens was better, and I thought he was going to win the award and he should win the award, I would tell you that. But I don't feel that way. All right, we got to move on because I'm running out of time. But here's about my Dubuque trip. And actually, someone on Twitter, Tom, says, hey, I also go to Dubuque from time to time, so that was kind of funny. But here's the small world story. So the first night we're there, in Dubuque, they have 3 states. You go Illinois, you cross the river, you're in Iowa, and then you go up a little bit, and then you cross the river again, and you're in Wisconsin. So we drove to Wisconsin for dinner, and we went to this, it was like a local bar restaurant area. So we had a bunch of people in the group. We had 15 or 16 people in the group. So they set up all the tables, everybody sat down, and I had been with people all day long, so I was looking to kind of get away for a second and not have to deal with people. And so I went and sat in the table in the back of the group, and no one was at the table, which is fine. So I just got on my phone, and I was just reading some stuff about the Padres and trying to keep up on that stuff. And this couple in the corner is just eating dinner, minding their own business. They're an older couple. And I'm just sitting there by myself, and the woman at the table asked me, "Hey, do you want to come over here and eat with us because you're all by yourself?" And I thought that was very Midwest and very nice of her to say. But I said, "No, I'm with all these people, and we're here for a family reunion." So we get to talking, and one of the colleges in Dubuque is called Loras College. And my grandpa actually was a Hall of Fame basketball player in the 50s. I'm pretty sure the 50s, for Loras College. So his name is in the Loras College Hall of Fame for basketball. And apparently he was the big man on campus. I didn't realize this, but apparently he was. So we're eating dinner, and then they go, "Well, what's your grandpa's name?" Because I used to coach football at Loras College. So I say, "Oh, his name was Ernie Skraby." This guy's face just lights up. He goes, "Skraby?" Just like that. He's like, "Wait, are you talking about Ernie Skraby, the basketball player from Loras College?" And I said, "Yeah, that's my grandpa." And he was blown away because he hadn't thought about Ernie Skraby in like 50 years. But we caught up, and so then my aunts, who are my dad's sisters, went over and started talking to him, and he legit knew my grandpa, was dropping things that my grandpa liked to do, liked to say, and then he was talking about how Skraby this, Skraby that, and this is what I find really funny. I find it really funny that even in the 1950s, people were calling my grandpa Skraby, just like today people call me Skraby. So it hasn't changed in over 70 years that people are calling so he just started referencing my grandpa as Skraby, and it's just hilarious to me. I don't know if it's hilarious to anyone else, but it was really, really funny to know that it doesn't matter that it was 75 years ago, but people were still calling my grandpa Skraby. They don't even know his first name. A lot of people sometimes don't even know my first name. They just say Skraby. But I thought it was hilarious. And so we just talked the rest of dinner, and they were all happy about it. And they were talking about how crazy the small world is. And he kept telling me about how my grandpa was such a good basketball player, and he wanted to tell me all about my grandpa. So I actually got to learn some things about my grandpa from this random man who was sitting in the corner with his wife eating dinner, having their walleye fish. It was fish and chips, but it was walleye. And I thought that was really fun. I thought it was such a small world, and I think that those things sometimes, like I believe in everything happens for a reason, and I'm going way past my time, and I don't care. I believe in everything happens for a reason, and I believe we were put in that place at that time with those people there to remember my grandpa, because again, I learned things from this person and some of the stories he told about how great he was playing basketball, or how great of a basketball player he was. He's in the Hall of Fame. He's a hero. You could see this guy. He's like a celebrity. My grandpa's a celebrity to this guy, and he just wanted to talk all about my grandpa. And it made the trip worth it, honestly, because to see someone light up about someone in your family that passed away years ago, and someone that he hadn't even seen in over 60 years, it just tells you that my grandpa was a good dude. And I try to emulate both my grandpas. And my other grandpa, he did pass away. I'm going to his funeral here in a few weeks, actually a week from today. He passed away earlier in the year, and we're just trying to make sure that everybody's able to come there. So I was very lucky growing up with some great grandparents. I was very lucky to be sitting next to this guy, and it was one of those moments in my life as a 39, going to be 40 next year. Like, wow, this is one of those important moments in life. And there we go. That's my Dubuque story and the small world story. But I actually need to do this.
What's annoying Skraby today? Let's find out. It's time for the Daily Gripe.
My daily gripe, real quick, is going to go like this. So we were my parents and I were in the airport in Chicago coming home, in Midway, Chicago. And we went to this like little Irish pub thing because there was nothing else around, and we had like an hour and a half to kill. So we were just going to get something to eat real quick. Here's my daily gripe. And I have multiple daily gripes, but this one's more important. My daily gripe is when waitresses or waiters or anybody who's working in a restaurant acts like you're the worst thing in the world, and acts like you're putting them to work instead of them being at work. because this woman wanted nothing to do with us. I said I didn't know where the menu was. She got mad and she left and she went the other way. I said, okay, I'm ready to order. She was like, okay, I'll be there in a second. Didn't come back. We had to flag her down. I said, I wanted an iced tea. She's like, we don't have iced tea. We have raspberry iced tea. And I said, that's still iced tea, but sure, I'll have raspberry iced tea. It is so annoying to me when we're trying to give you business. We will tip you. We're good tippers. If you're nice to us and you do a great job, we'll tip you well. But this woman wanted nothing to do with us, and she was angry, it seemed, that we were even in the restaurant at the time. And I know she probably was really busy because she was the only one there, but still, you kind of have to sort of act like you like us a little bit to make sure, we give you a good tip. But I'm not a fan of someone who's acting like we are putting them out by spending money at the restaurant that they work at. Second daily gripe. And this has been festering for weeks now. But people who don't listen to the show and then complain we're not talking about something. So we could have talked about something for the first hour and a half of Gwen and Chris. And then someone will sign on the minute after we stop talking about it. And they'll be like, I can't believe you're talking about this right now. We should be talking about the Padres. Well, hey, bro or ma'am. We talked about it for the first 90 minutes of the show. So I can't believe you just busted into the show and think that we're not talking about the Padres when we already talked about the Padres. All right, I'm getting a little crazy, and I've gone way over, so you're going to join Bart Winkler a little bit late. But everybody, thank you for joining me tonight for the Skraby Show. Back tomorrow, Friar Friday, Ben and Wood, 6 a.m., Annie and Nelson, 10 a.m. Talk to you guys soon.
Need to be up